What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we'd love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now, speaking of TV shows, I would like to give you guys my thoughts on Season 1 of HBO Max's The Flight Attendant. Now, I reviewed the first 3 episodes, but I've now seen the rest. And I want to talk about the series as a whole. So first of all, Kaley Cuoco, just phenomenal. Phenomenal performance here. This was a performance that was very funny, very charismatic, but also filled with complexity. All right, this was a very complex character that was filled with pain, filled with guilt, and she did such a good job of conveying the pain and the guilt that she had about the things that she has done in her life that she's not proud of. She did such a great job of conveying that pain, conveying that guilt, the feelings she has towards her brother, the feelings of you know, the stuff that she has done to her friend Annie that is very self-absorbed. She there's a lot of reckoning this character does in this season with who she is and how she became who she is. That this isn't just a regular murder mystery. All right, and that's really how this season was sold by HBO Max, was as a murder mystery. And while that is exactly what it is. It is a murder mystery. It's so much more than that. This is a character study. This is a character study of a, late 20s, early 30s alcoholic and somebody who uses nightlife, sexual activity, and substance abuse to dull pain. To dull pain of past sins, to dull pain of inadequacies, to dull pain of just not being good enough. And for me, this is more than anything, the Flight Attendant Season 1, more than anything, was a character study of substance abuse. And coming to terms with who you are and the things that you've done. More than anything, more than even being a murder mystery, that is what this season was. And I thought that it was fascinating to watch Kaley Cuoco, somebody who is best known for comedic performance, bring that comedic sensibility to such a complex character. Because there was definitely funny aspects of her life that Kaley Cuoco is definitely able to bring out. All right, not everything that she did was bathed in seriousness. Some of it was just funny situations she found herself in while she was self-destructing and bringing everybody around her down with her. Some of it was very funny. Some of it was definitely hard to watch. So yeah, let's talk about some of the individual performances now. And probably my favorite performance, other than Kaley Cuoco's, was Zosie Mamet as Annie, Cassie's best friend. And she just, when she was on the screen, I was locked in. Her performance was so good. There's so much wit, so much sarcasm, and so much character in her best friend who is an attorney, and as she put it, so much of her life was wrapped up in being an attorney. So definitely a lot of character moments, a lot of the best character moments, and even some of the best laughs of the season came from this character Annie. And definitely for me, in some ways, Annie was our avatar. We were seeing the action unfold through Annie's eyes. She was watching her friend self-destruct. She was watching her boyfriend get mixed up into it. She was helping the detectives, whether the detectives wanted to help or not. She was helping the FBI and the police force with the investigation, and ultimately she proved to be invaluable in that investigation. There was so much of what she was doing that was us seeing the action unfold. It's how normal people would see the action unfold, and things got so ridiculous at one point that she, near the end of the season, that her reaction was even like a normal reaction. It was a "what the crap, get out of here," just that type of reaction, right? Like, this isn't real. None of this is happening. None of this is even possible. Get out. that's kind of what. Now I'm paraphrasing and oversimplifying, of course, but that was definitely kind of how I felt about it. we had what's his name, Michael Heisman, whatever, as Alex Sokolov. He's the guy that gets killed. That's not a spoiler. He's the guy that gets killed. It's a murder mystery, and but the reality is that he still has a lead role in this series because of I don't. They're not flashbacks. Let's just say that Kaylee Coco's character is not entirely mentally stable, and he is sometimes the voice of reason and sometimes the voice of insanity. But he has personified in her head as a narration of sorts, and it's really fun when he pops up. Sometimes, I do feel like I do feel like it was something that they kind of overdid, and at points they kind of cheated with it. They told some, they used some narrative. They used it to tell some important narrative story moments. And for me, I always lean on the idea of show don't tell with TV shows and movies. Show us, don't tell us. I feel like he popped up and told us a lot. Where if he wasn't popping up and telling us a lot, that could have been stuff that Cassie found out through action rather than just seeing something in her head. So I thought it was a neat trick, and I felt that it was a neat idea to explore, but I feel like they used it a lot. They overused this idea of Alex popping up in her head. And it really became a very exposition heavy trick that they used. And I would have liked to have seen them use it less. And if he does continue popping up in season 2, which by the way, season 2 has been announced, if he does continue popping up in season 2, I hope they use him less. Because I just feel like at the end there, he was just, well, we got to explain some stuff. Let's have Cassie see Alex in her head. And it just got to be a little old for me. But initially, it was a lot of fun, and it was really interesting, actually, to ask whether or not she was on this downward spiral, which clearly she was. Michelle Gomez was wonderful as Miranda, the would-be assassin who ends up aligning with Kaylee Coco's Cassie. And she brought a lot of laughs in the series as well. And initially, she's supposed to be somebody that comes off as an antagonist, somebody who comes off as potentially the killer. But she was a red herring the whole time, and I think most people who watch the show probably knows that she's a red herring the whole time. By the way, I'm not going to really talk a whole lot about who is the killer here. Maybe I've already talked about them a little bit, maybe not. But that is one thing that I will say about this show, is that I called the killer early. I was like, that's the killer. That's definitely the killer. And I remember as the killer popped up from time to time, and there was a string of episodes where the killer was in it a lot. And I was like, definitely the killer. That's definitely the killer. And it turns out I was right. So, not that clever, are you, Hollywood writers? But the one character that I didn't care for was Rosie Perez's Megan. I didn't see the point in it. I kept on waiting for Megan's laundering, or not laundering, treason, or spying on her husband for North Korea. I kept on waiting for that to tie back to the main narrative, and it really never did. There were some loose connections, but for the main part, it was this completely side story that had nothing to do with the original storyline. So I wasn't into it, and I never got into it. And at the end, how Rosie Perez's story ended, I remember thinking, why? I mean, probably, I wouldn't say probably a quarter, 20%, not a quarter, but probably a solid 20% of the storytelling in this series tied to her in some way. And why did they spend so much time on a storyline that didn't go anywhere? I don't know. If they're going to continue Megan's story, into season 2, then they better tie it to the main narrative, because it was like two different TV shows meshed together. Well, we can't really make a TV show about Megan because she's not that interesting, so let's just put her in here with the flight attendant. I don't know. But this was a good series. Not great. It was not the best series I've ever seen, but I am completely bought into it. I will be watching season 2. I did think it was a lot of fun. I thought it was funny, and I thought that obviously, the characters of Cassie and Annie are two characters that need to be explored more. Their friendship needs to be explored more. But for me, it just didn't quite reach that all-time status of being this great show that I'm going to revisit and revisit and revisit and revisit. It just didn't quite get there for me. But that's not saying it's bad. I did think it was good. So, I don't know. Those are just kind of my thoughts on HBO Max's The Flight Attendant. What did you think of The Flight Attendant? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there commenting, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you so much for joining me here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.